appreciation survey. And we had, so that's on there. We covered that. I apologize for the poll being stuck. So we're just gonna move on. We're gonna roll with these difficulties, right? I appreciate your guys' flexibility on all this. ASQ update. And it's in your contract. They have 6 weeks to 60 months is just an FYI to give you an update on that. Is there anybody else on the call who is our partners? Let me check on that. While you're waiting on me to check on that, I just wanted to give you that information. It is in the 2023-2024 contract that ASQs are now required of children 6 weeks to 60 months instead of from birth to 60 months. And I'm just trying to scroll here. If you're a partner, can you raise your hand, please? And I'll see if anybody has anything they want to say online. Oh, Karina Collada, you had a question? I can unmute you. It says you're self-muted. Do you have something you'd like to share?
No, I don't have a question. I just want to share that I'm a partner with the ELC.
Can you repeat that? I had trouble hearing you.
No, I don't have a question. I thought that you say that raise your hand if you are a partner.
Right, please introduce yourself. We'd like to give you recognition for taking your time to be on the call with us.
Thank you.
Who are you with, Ms. Karina Collada? Can you let those on the call know? Who may not know?
I'm from RCMA La Guadalupana. We're here in NOLA.
Wonderful. Thank you for joining us. Okay, I'm going to check and see if there's anyone else. And I don't see any other partners, so we're going to continue to move on. We have a few new employees. And let me just, I'm going to mute you, Miss Karina. There we go. Awesome. All right. And if you're, Shantavia, are you on the line? You're one of our new employees. I don't see Shantavia. She is new to compliance. And we have Miss Natalia Ventura, who is with Family Services. Would you like to introduce yourself, Miss Natalia? You are unmuted. Okay. Anyway, you'll get hopefully you guys will get a chance to meet her. She's a wonderful, wonderful new addition, along with Miss Shantavia to our ELC family. Oh, Lisette Flores from RCMA. Thank you, Lisette. And we also have other staff on here. We have all of Quality, Mary Brewster, Natisha, Melissa, Sienna, of course, from our inclusion specialist, and we have Elizabeth Viola, and let me trying to find you, Elizabeth. There you go. We have Elizabeth. Say hi, Elizabeth.
I'm here.
Hi. And I'm sorry if there's anybody else and Nancy's on there, and if there's anyone else I missed, I apologize. But we are logging in online. This is our first time in a long time online, first time for me driving it. And again, I appreciate all your guys' patience. In the packet, you'll see Marion County Resources. There's a QR code that you can use with your families. And there's a flyer that includes shows you some of the resources when you go to the Fiddlers on that website, the Marion County Resources. There's so much. These are things that we're going to go into more depth during our PD Talk podcast, which will be this Friday from 12:30 to 1:30. I'm going to show you how to drive around that site a little bit and see what professional development is available for your teachers as well as your parents. Something you guys could work on together. We also have a presentation from our health department educator, Melissa, Moreno, who will be sharing Florida's Heroes and Go Knapsack program. We do have a couple of providers that I know that took advantage of this last year when Jessica Driggers presented it. It'll be, and I understand there are some good experiences with that. And we'll be talking more in depth about that. Also in the packet is the schedule for the pre-K class group coaching, formerly known as MMCI. This cohort is open and available for registration. It starts March 27th, and if you go to our calendar, you'll see the available dates so that you can make sure you can attend the sessions. It is virtual. We also open registration for class group coaching infant toddler, again, formerly known as MMCI, for those of you who may be more familiar with that. This particular cohort is both in person and virtual. And please pay attention to the dates that are virtual and the dates that are in person, and they are available on our calendar website. And it starts April 29th. Registration is open. And then you have the Trauma Informed Care Child Care Programs Director's flyer from the Department of Children and Families. And the emergent literacy micro-credential with the FAQs for the micro-credential. And Elizabeth will go into more detail about how they relate to the workforce or ARPA grants. And we will go into more detail about how you can get registered and what they're about and answer any questions regarding them on the PD podcast as well. All right. That was my portion of the agenda. That was professional development. It was a lot of information. Was there any questions? Mary Brewster, I love the fact that you can download the handouts. That's awesome. Thank you for letting me know. I don't see any questions, so I am going to pass the baton to Janet Honor. And her notes are, if you would like to follow along, are also in the packet just after the professional development that I described to you, so you can follow along as she speaks.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I want to go over VPK with you guys. The VPK orientation dates have been sent out to all VPK providers. They are as follows: Monday, April 10th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Tuesday, April 11th from 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Monday, April 17th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And again, Tuesday, April 18th from 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. If you are a VPK provider and you have not signed up for orientation, please do so. This is a requirement of your VPK contract, okay? Next, for VPK is your progress monitoring. PM3 is due for some providers as early as March 23rd, okay? Other providers are towards the end of April, beginning of May. Please review your dates and follow up in completing your progress monitoring 3. If you have any new students that come in during your PM3, even after you have completed it, you need to wait about a week and then complete that PM3 on that new student, okay? Otherwise, it's going to show that you're not in compliance. And it will show that one student or however many students you have that have not been completed for their PM monitoring, okay? Next on the list for VPK is summer VPK. At this time, we have one VPK provider who is offering summer VPK. We do have a few schools who are going to offer summer VPK. But if you are interested in offering summer VPK for our children, please send us an email and let us know. Contact Quality, please. And we will work with you on getting your VPK app and your classroom set up on the portal so that you can offer summer VPK. Next on our, well, let me stop there. I'm going kind of fast. Do I have any questions from the dates, the monitoring, or summer VPK?
Doesn't look like it.
Okay. 23-24 VPK applications. As early as next week, we will begin initiating VPK applications. And this is only for our VPK providers who have an active 23-24 provider profile. If your profile is not active and complete, we can't move forward with initiating your 23-24 VPK application. It is important to remember that there's a difference between the VPK app and the VPK contract. The VPK application always comes first. So you'll have to complete that first, and your application will have to be certified by a Quality One staff member. Once it's certified, then we can move forward with initiating your contract. Okay? Is there any questions related to the VPK app for 23-24?
No.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to move on into school readiness now. So the 23-24 profiles, we have a standard due date of April 14th. That's when all our provider profiles are due. Keep in mind that your quality staff, our quality staff will reach out to our providers, remind you to complete your profile, and they'll give you individual dates based on when they reached out to you to complete your profile, okay? It's important to follow up with the Quality One team when they send you these emails, whether you are in rejected status or need additional documentation. They're going to send you a detailed email notifying you what is missing, what is needed, and what assistance we can provide you with completing your profile. Please pay close attention to those emails and respond back to the quality team. It is important that we get your profiles set up, okay? Any questions on that?
Nope, no questions.
Okay. Next thing is school readiness orientation dates. I want to thank all the providers who have attended orientation so far. Thank you for taking the time to schedule and come. We do have 2 more orientation dates available. I've been seeing providers scheduled for these dates, but there are more open seats available. The dates are as follows: March 20th, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And again, March 21st, 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Do I have any questions on school readiness orientation? Okay, I don't see any so far. Okay,
Just checking. Can everybody hear us? And can you,
I think I'm speaking pretty loudly. I'm right in front of the speaker.
yeah,
If you can't hear me, please
okay.
let
I
us
just
know.
wanted to make sure we didn't lose connection.
Okay.
Thank you, guys. I just want to make sure we didn't lose connection. You guys are awfully quiet.
I take that into account of us having the school readiness orientation. Some of the topics we're going over again, and that is for our providers who did not attend orientation, okay? I'm gonna move on to your holiday schedule and your closure calendar. Guys, please keep account of your closure calendar. Mark the days that, or take a screenshot of the days that you have selected to be closed on your closure calendar, okay? There are some situations that are happening where providers are forgetting to mark a day that they are closed. And then when you go to submit your attendance, you are saying that you're closed that day, but your closure calendar shows that you're open. So keep in mind to keep your closure calendar updated. Also, for your holiday schedule, you are provided 10 reimbursable days that you will be able to pick. These are days that you select. ELC does not select these days for you. So when you go and you want to change your holiday schedule, it's important that the quality team is notified as soon as possible. There is a process that we go through with your provider profile to review your profile when there's an amendment that needs to take place. And when you change your holiday schedule, that causes a contract amendment. And these amendments typically take about 15 days. So it's important that we are notified at least, 3 weeks ahead of time, okay? Do I have any questions on holiday schedules or closure calendars?
And I'm answering, there was a question about provider appreciation dates. I'm typing that in now for that person who had that question. You have 10 holidays selected as closures on the calendar. Do we need to also include in-service days as closures?
Yes, you do. You need to include that on your closure calendar because that's when you're closed. And it lets reimbursement know when you do your attendance that you were closed that day. When you go to do your 23-24 contract, when you're selecting your 10 paid holidays, every day that you have opted to be closed on the closure calendar will populate for you when you're selecting those 10 days, okay? So you may choose to be closed for a total of 20 to 25 days. I'm just throwing a number out there, but 20 to 25 days on your closure calendar, but you're only going to select 10 to be reimbursed. The other days, let's the ELC staff know that you were closed that day, okay? Any other questions?
Don't see any other questions. No. Okay, again, what is the provider appreciation date? How can I register for that? So provider appreciation is not going to be a training this year. We are sending packages out. And that is why we are having the poll to get an idea of what kind of packages that you guys would appreciate. Since we appreciate everything you guys do and all your staff and your teachers, we want to make sure we get you something that you would like to have and that you would find useful in your center and sites. Awesome, thank you. Oh, you're very welcome. Okay, And just so you guys know, on the handouts that are downloadable from the site on Janet's communications called Provider Relations Information Sheet, it has the VPK orientation dates as listed, just for those who asked about the VPK orientation dates and the times. And if there's no further questions, is there any more questions?
Okay. So we're going to turn it over to Ms. Powell, your compliance director.
And if you want to follow along, her compliance corner documentation is called Ryla Wilson in the handouts.
Hello, everyone. We're going to go over some information in reference to the Ryla Wilson Act. The requirements, it is in the Florida statutes, a child from birth to age of school entry who is under court-ordered protective supervision or in and out of home care and is enrolled in an early education or child care program must attend the program 5 days a week unless the court grants an exemption. A child enrolled in an early education or child care program who meets the requirements of this act may not be withdrawn from the program without prior written approval of the department or community-based care lead agency. If a child covered by this act is absent, the program shall report any unexcused absent or 7 excused absences to the department or community-based care lead agency by the end of the business day following the unexcused absence or 7 consecutive excused absence. Okay, the school readiness provider, you must abide by these provisions in the Ryla Wilson Act. The law provides priority for child care services for specified children who are at risk of abuse, neglect, or abandonment. Children identified under the protective services are identified on your child care certificate as funding BG1. So typically in your child care certificate that when you sign and accept the enrollment, it'll say BG1 family, and then it'll also say Ryla Wilson. Also, when family services contacts the providers, they typically advise that this child is Ryla Wilson. Okay, any questions in reference to that section?
Checking the chat. And I'm checking the questions. I don't see any questions.
Okay, so who do I call when an at-risk child is absent? Okay, when an at-risk child, which is a BG1 child, has an unexcused absence or 7 consecutive days of excused absences, the school readiness provider must notify the Department of Children and Families or the community-based lead agency and the Early Learning Coalition. It applies to any at-risk children, birth to school entry, and a school readiness program, and that is in the rule. Okay, also just to keep in mind, providers, that the correct reporting of children absences is a part of your school readiness monitor, and you will be marked out of compliance if you do not have documentation of contacts with parent and DCF or ELC. It's of course it's a part of your school readiness monitoring tool. So if you do have a Ryla Wilson child, you would need to document the attempts that you made with the parent when the child is absent and there was no communication with the parent advising as of why the child was absent prior to that date. Any questions?
There's nothing in the chat, and at this time, nothing in the questions.
Okay, so if any providers need any additional technical assistance, you can contact the compliance team members, 352-369-2315. I am the program's compliance director. I do currently have an extension, and it is 259. You can reach Delania Price at extension 253, Rickledine Nicholas at extension 256, and our newest staff would be Shantavia Jones, and she is at extension 261. So if you need any additional assistance, technical assistance in reference to Ryla Wilson or any other information, you can give either one of us a call or send an email.
I don't see any questions in the chat or in the question box. So I'm going to go ahead and find Elizabeth and make sure she's unmuted. So Elizabeth can tell you guys all her good stuff she has to share.
Hi, everybody. Lily, are we turning webcams on or no?
I can't get anything, because of the poll, I can't get anything to come up.
Okay, it froze up on you.
It
Okay.
froze up for me. It did. I apologize, guys. Thank you for loving me through this experience. As
It's
you-
okay. I just wanted to make sure because we practiced and then it, you know, technology doesn't ever do what we want it to do. But hello, everybody. I wanted to give a quick update on where we are at with the ARPA grants, round 1 and round 2, as well as round 2, part 2. And then I'll give a quick update as to where we're at on releasing the applications that I had hoped to have out 2 weeks ago for our Workforce Initiative grant. So with let me talk about ARPA round 1 first. So we still have some of our providers who are trying to complete their ARPA round 1 second and third, excuse me, certifications. So if you are a provider, I know we have a couple, Ms. Shirley Campbell, I'm not sure if you're on today, but I will be reaching out to you next week when I get back into the office to set an appointment to work with you on finalizing the last certification so that we can get you your payment. We also had a couple of providers reach out to us and say they're not seeing it. They're not seeing the option on their provider portal to complete the certification. And they were correct. Unfortunately, sometimes when updates occur, other things break in the system, and that did happen. It should be fixed now. So if you're one of those providers that we've been reaching out to, or that you've been contacting us saying you haven't been able to finalize your ARPA round 1 certifications, remember that was the payments that were made in 3 different payments, 90 days apart. Please try again and see if you can submit your certification for either round 2 or round 3. So that was ARPA round 1. ARPA round 2, there are a couple of you that still are asking about where your payments are at, and there are a couple of applications that I am still trying to finalize. I will hopefully be finishing that today or tomorrow. So just bear with me if I reach out to you. It just means that I either need something or I'm going to tell you how much your grant award is going to be. So that is fantastic. I don't know if you guys recall, but way back when we started talking about ARPA round 2, we said there was going to be a third part to the ARPA grant. Well, that part is coming. So to describe this in a very muddy way, basically what is going to happen is funds that were left over from the ARPA grant that were not allocated to providers are going to be reallocated again out to those of you who applied for round 2. Okay. What will happen is you will have a certification that will show up, and these dates we will follow up in writing with all of this information. But on April 5th, you will have a certification that will show up in your provider portal. That certification will only be open until April 19th. Okay. So April 5th to April 19th, you will have a certification pop up for your ARPA grant, ARPA round 2, okay? Anybody that applied, that was approved, you're eligible, you will have to complete one last certification. to be able to receive your next ARPA dollars. Let me stop there and ask Lily if she sees any questions, because that was a lot that I just told you.
So far, no.
Okay, so ARPA round 2, part 2, just to recap what I just said to you. On April 5th, you will have a certification pop up in your provider portal. You will need to complete that certification and submit it no later than April 19th because it will shut down. You won't have access to it anymore. From there, then the coalition will only have 2 weeks to process it. I don't even think 2 weeks. I think we have 10 days to process it. And then our finance department will send another payment out based on what you've already, based on that certification. Okay. All right. So I'm going to move on now, and Lily, stop me if you see any questions pop up. But we're going to talk about world-class workforce and the workforce initiative. So about 3 weeks ago, a lot of you joined me on a Wednesday evening, and I told you all about our workforce initiative grant and the world-class workforce that has 4 different training tracks to it, where your staff can apply to receive a stipend based on training that they've received or participated in. We went back to the drawing board last week because we felt like there was a better way to get you a little bit more money. So we now have resubmitted our application up to DEL, and we're just waiting for approval, and we're updating the workforce initiative applications that I reviewed during that call because some of you wanted to watch the call, and I don't feel comfortable posting it the way it is. Well, first the link didn't work. And then currently the way it is now, we've kind of revamped it a little bit to make it easier for you and your staff to receive those funds. So there will still be, for the Workforce Initiative grant, there's going to be 2 different applications. One is just a base amount. If you did any kind of recruitment or training for your team to get them onboarded as a new staff member, even if they're no longer with you, you will be eligible to apply for a set amount of money based on your, it's not your enrollment, and I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank. It's on your, I don't know if any of my team can help me right now.
It's going to be based on your capacity, but you do have
Capacity. Thank you.
questions.
I couldn't think of that word. Thank you.
Yeah,
So
it's based
it'll,
on, you have questions though about ARPA round 2.
okay, let's stop. Let's pause on the workforce stuff and talk about ARPA one more time. Go ahead.
I tried to catch you, but I was trying not to interrupt you.
It's okay.
What's the part 2 for?
So the part 2, when ARPA was released, it was released in a round 1, a round 2, and a part 2 to round 2. I know, can we get any more confusing? With that, so what that means is that any funds from the entire ARPA allocation will be redistributed. It's going to be collected back for the entire state and then redistributed out to providers who were approved for round 2. Okay, so you're going to end up with a certification that you have to complete in order to tell us, yes, I want this money for my site. Okay, I don't have a lot of extra information on it aside from what I'm telling you right now in those dates. April 5th, mark that on your calendar. You're going to want to make sure you're going to be rolling, well, I think, I don't have a calendar in front of me, but you're going to be looking at, well, actually April 5th, you're going to be doing your attendance rosters anyway. That'll be the last day you can submit attendance for the month of March. So you're going to be in your provider profile anyhow. So on April 5th, you're going to look for that new certification to pop up. Is there another question, Lily?
Yeah, we have 2 more. Do you have an amount range for ARPA 2 term 2?
I do not. I'm sorry. I do feel like it's probably going to be pretty similar to what you were awarded for round 2.
Okay, and is there any idea how much money ARPA round 2 part 2 will be?
So I think that's the same question. And I think what I really think is going to happen is the state is going to award you the same amount that you got for round 2. That's what I think is going to happen as funds are available. So it might only be a percentage of that depending on how much money is left over. But the state and the coalitions, we are really trying to get you the funds over to you.
Okay, and that is the last of the opera questions. Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for your patience.
Okay, no problem at all. I appreciate all of your patience too. All of you who have been waiting for reimbursements from us for professional development and for kits that your team has earned through attendance of trainings. You know, for the past year and a half or 2 years, the coalition has been under a lot of just transition. And with that comes a lot of learning of new things, just like you guys have been learning how to apply for all these grants that are outside of our typical opportunities to pay you. They're all great things. And there's not enough thanks in me to tell you. I appreciate your patience with me. I appreciate your patience with our team. And I know it's frustrating when it's taking us longer than we normally would take to process paperwork for you or to get you a reimbursement. We do understand you need your money and you need your supplies. And it's just, I feel compelled to thank you from the bottom of my heart as we just work through all these different programs that are dropped down into our laps. And we're all doing, I feel, a great job. And I appreciate you for that. So to talk more about world-class workforce and the workforce initiative, I anticipate within the next week, I actually will be able to release the 2 applications. Application 1 it will be for the providers who have hired anybody new since July 1st of 2022. Originally, we were saying that we couldn't provide any reimbursement unless that person was still with you. Well, we've been able to change that. So now anybody that up to a certain percentage, so for family childcare homes, if you hired an assistant, let's say, you can get reimbursed up to $1,000, $500 per person. So, and that goes for all of our providers up to a maximum depending on your capacity. So you'll see more coming out about that. And I appreciate you guys using your listening ears as I describe these programs, because they're very intense and they're very in-depth programs. The second part of the world-class workforce piece is a direct payment out to your staff. We have been able to amp up how we are doing that, and it will even include staff that you've hired, you know, within the first between 30 days and 6 months. If they've only been with you for 6 months, they'll be eligible for an onboard, like a hiring bonus of $250. And then it just goes up from there. So your staff that have been with you for 6 years, they're going to be eligible for a base grant of $2,000. And then from there, we'll stack on additional funds depending on if they have their FCCPC or the emergent literacy micro-credential that Lily was talking about earlier, and a couple of the other credentials too that you can get. So more information to come out on those 2 applications. Providers, you will be uploading this directly to your document library in the portal. And the coalition is actually working on hiring 4 temporary staff members to assist us in processing these things timely. So when I say thank you for your patience, we don't take this stuff lightly. We are actually going to be hiring 4 temporary staff to help us get caught up and to make sure that we're getting your payments out to you in a timely fashion. So thank you again for all of your patience. It will pay off, I promise you that. Talking about world-class workforce, we are in the final stages of planning. Some of you have been very concerned about not being able to register for training. We actually have Lily and I met with Teachstone last week to get all of the trainings on board that will be eligible for the world-class workforce. Some of you have already taken things that are eligible for the world-class workforce back from July 1st, 2022 up to now. Some of that includes the MMCI or the class group coaching that you've participated in. If your entire site participated, you could be eligible already for a grant. So more to come on both of those. And let me stop and see if Lily has any questions that I can answer.
Okay, so we do have a couple of questions.
Okay.
And it says, what if a staff member changed from teacher to assistant director, She did have new training expenses.
So if that wasn't, if you hired that person after July 1st of 2022, then you would be able to claim a reimbursement for them. It doesn't matter if they went from one position to another one. If they hired, they have to be hired on or after July 1st of 2022 to get that stipend.
Okay, and the second one is this, I'm sorry, this is so tiny. Is the World Class Workforce ARPA grant separate than the ARPA Round 2 Part 2 release?
Yes, which is part of why it's very hard to talk about it. It's very hard to kick these out because they are separate. So right now, just to give you an example, we are looking at, we have five separate programs that we're working on simultaneously. The coalition, just ELC of Marion County, has our professional development reimbursement. So we have that ongoing. So that's one thing that some of you have applied for and you're waiting for your payments. The second one is ARPA Round 1, which had 3 different payments assigned to it. Some of you are still looking to certify yourselves for Part 2 and Part 3 of ARPA Round 1. The third, ARPA Round 2. ARPA Round 2 was one application and you got one payment from it. Some of you are still waiting for your payments from that, and we appreciate your patience. With that comes down to how much funds we can release from the bank at any given time. There are still a couple of outstanding applications that I'm going to finalize between today and tomorrow. And I do see a few emails coming in from Ms. Hatton and from Creative Beginnings and Pastor Delcamp. I will follow up with you after this meeting. So ARPA Round 2, that's one payment, and we're still in the process of that one. So then you have ARPA Round 2 Part 2, which is going to release on April the 5th, where you will, if you participated in ARPA Round 2, you will have a certification that you will want to complete, and you will only have until April 19th to complete that. And then the fifth thing, and actually there's 6, the fifth thing is the World Class Workforce. That is out of SRSA dollars, and that is consistent of an application where a provider can get reimbursed directly for onboarding expenses since July 1st of 2022. And then there is the second part of that is a direct payment to your teachers for retainment and upskilling, so their training that they've received. That's part of the SRSA. So then the 6th part is the World Class Workforce, and that consists of 4 different tracks of training that you can participate in. Some you have to be contracted with the coalition for, and some you do not. Some is for brand new staff members. All of these, by the way, if you qualify, you can apply for all of them. So some of them are for brand new staff, that is the health and safety and the new staff training for class. That's for new staff that have been hired after July 1st of 2022 up until now. And then there are other tracks that depend on your class score, and you do have to be contracted with the coalition to participate. There's a certain track that will pay a stipend for your teachers and your director for participation if your class score is below 5. If your class score is above 5, there's a continuous quality improvement track that will pay a provider a little over $19,000 for participation. So more to come on both of those pieces. I anticipate by next week, all of it will be rolled out to you. So I hope that answered your question.
Okay. And during the PD Talk podcast this Friday, I will go into more detail of where you can access those trainings and how you can register for them, where they're available, the ones that are available at this time right now.
Who knows, maybe by then we'll have a final training schedule from Teachstone that will allow us to tell you the rest of it. That would be great.
Okay, I have a question. Oh, thank you for the explanation from Paula Lopez. And is there some place we can get all the info for the grant? Is it on the ELC website?
It is not on the ELC website yet. We can send you out the guidance document. That we can definitely do if you would like it. The guidance document is what made us put it all together and kind of separate it all out. I was just kind of waiting for the final schedule from Teachstone so that we could send it all out together. But if you would like that, we can send that to you.
Okay,
But
and
that includes, I don't know how to say that. So that's for the workforce initiative, world-class workforce piece.
okay. And then we have, she said, yes, please send it to me so I can read it over. And I'll let you know who that is, Elizabeth.
I was gonna say, if you are interested in it, we can send it. We'll just blast it out to everybody through Constant Contact, and that way you'll have it.
That's probably gonna be best because I've got more chiming in that they wanted to.
Yeah. It's hard to listen to, and if you're visual, like most of us are, it is nice to have it in front of you to be able to read it.
Okay, and then the other question I have is, I'm applying for the continuous quality improvement plan. My question is, if one of my staff have already took this year the 17 hours pre-K class 2008 observation training, can I include it as part of the training plan in the application?
So my understanding is that all of your staff have to take the same courses. So that is the guidance that I have, and you'll see it when you get this document that we're going to send out. We can look at it and see, did all of you have to, your staff all have to participate, and your director has to participate in the same courses for that to count. So if they took it, but then other people took it later, then we probably can count it. That's going to be an individual conversation.
Case by case, okay.
Yeah.
And the poll is closed. You could just put what you feel you want in the chat, Paula. And then it's a lot of information. How soon can we get this on YouTube? Was the other question. Is it gonna go on YouTube?
Is what, this meeting?
So the meeting itself will go on YouTube, yes. Are you asking, the person who asked that question, Leda, are you asking if the workforce information is gonna be on YouTube or the provider meeting? Because the provider meeting will definitely be on YouTube.
The workforce stuff we are not going to put on YouTube because we've changed it up now. So it's not, the meeting that I did originally isn't quite as relevant as it was 3 weeks ago. So we've updated things so that they would better fit for you.
Okay, all right. And, okay, she says this meeting. Yes, this meeting will be uploaded to YouTube. Yes. It will, you should give it about a week though for that to happen. Just setting that expectation there. It should be there by Monday at the latest. Okay, and that's all I see for questions. Let me just double check here. Yes, that is it for questions. Yes, work class, workforce, and workforce initiative are 2 different grants. Yes. Okay, that's it. It is, let me look at the correct clock, 1:57. if no one has any questions, I can give you 3 minutes of your day back, guys.
Yay.
It may not seem like much, but in our world, it's a lot. Any other questions? Thank you for your participation in the polls. It's been really helpful having you guys respond in the chat. I love how you guys roll with us, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the PD Talk podcast. All right, you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.